Ben Tankard here, Full Tank Podcast. Listen, Full Tank Podcast is all about the next comma. God adding more and more to your life as you evolve here on earth. And who better to have in the pod chair today at the white mic is my good friend, Dr. Bobby Jones. Listen, we're talking ambassador, producer, executive producer, musician, writer extraordinaire, and a game changer. We're going to get into the weeds and talk about all this stuff. I'm so excited. I'm happier than a witch in a broom factory with a 90% off coupon. And we're going to get into it when we get right back.
Please listen carefully. Please listen carefully.
You are enjoying the Full Tank Podcast, sponsored in part by Faith Words. Want a taste of my best-selling book, The Full Tank Life? Go to thefulltanklife.com and pull down a free sample chapter and order the book.
Today, my friend Ben Tankard has become known as the Godfather of gospel jazz. He sold millions of albums, pastors a church, travels the world sharing his music. Like with Ben, God is working behind the scenes, lining up what you need.
Full Tank Podcast, Ben Tankard here. So glad to welcome my good friend of at least 30 years, Dr. Bobby Jones. Welcome.
Of course, over 30 years.
Over 30 years. Man, thank you so much for hanging with your godson today.
Well, thank you for having me.
How you feeling, man? You looking good?
Well, I'm doing pretty good for an 86-year-old man, you know.
Wow. Doc, how do you do it, man?
I don't know. God gives me the strength and the energy and the desire, so there I am, you know.
Man, I say it all the time that if you want to get something done, you got to give it to a busy person.
Yeah.
And that's you.
Yeah.
And your walk of faith has motivated and inspired me for many years. And we pray that today's podcast will open you up to even brighter and wider array of fans and friends. But everybody knows you already. You
think so?
Oh, my goodness.
I think a few people do.
Even in the secular realm. I mean, of course, you're a legend in gospel music, but even in the secular realm, we got so many artists that are top R&B and jazz artists. And when they get to the microphone and say how they got their start, a lot of them talk about how it came in church and watching Dr. Bobby Jones. And for some folks, you was the only pastor they ever had.
Yeah.
On Sunday nights, on BET.
Yeah.
And so we're going to get into the weeds and talk about Dr. Bobby Jones. Doctor, give us that the 30-second intro of yourself and let people know who you are and what you do and what you've been doing.
Well, hello, everybody. We welcome you to what we call gospel music. And it's Bobby Jones Presents. You're going to get ready for it because we have great artists just for you.
That is just so dynamic because that's what we look forward to every Sunday night. You and the Nashville Super Choir.
Yeah.
And
New life when you came.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And Dr. Jones, you are so pivotal and you have been such an inspiration and a doorkeeper. And not just a doorkeeper, but a door opener for so many of us in gospel music, not just me, but we're talking Kirk Franklin, Yolanda Adams, the Clark sisters, Timothy Wright, Richard Smallwood, Byron Cage, Mary. Give me some more names.
No Miss Vicky Winans. She'd have a fit. Yeah. Well, anybody you can think of, basically, that was during the period that we were doing it in Nashville, and then we moved it to BET, and I'm talking about the taping part of it, in DC, and all of the artists, major artists, came by, what we call ones who had record label deals or traveled, and did extensive kind of presentations to people.
But you in not just a door opener for other people, but your own music. You as a writer, as a collaborator, as a producer, as a performer. Your first Grammy came back in what, 1980?
1984.
1984. Talk about that.
You know what was so interesting about what we did on BET is the kind of what we call mainstream artists that came on our show. Man, I was so happy to have Patti LaBelle and Dionne Warwick. Can you believe it?
Wow.
I mean, all of those people came. Louis Farrakhan, Dr. Maya Angelou, you know, all that. That said something about gospel music, and it said something about BET at that time.
In fact, when you had me on, a little bit of testimonial here. Y'all know Tank as the ex-basketball player. You know, I thought my way out of the ghetto would be pro ball. 6'6" by the time I was in the 6th grade. Made it all the way to college. Dropped out of college to go play pro in Canada, and then invited to an NBA team, and was injured and cut. And the depression from that led me to go to church. And in this church service, the preacher put oil on my hands and told me to sit down to the piano. I had never played. And I began to play, you know, like a jazz musician, but I was in church. And so I'm like, what am I going to do with this? Because when I checked around and talked to church folks, they said, that's too jazzy for us. and the jazz club said, well, that's too gospel for us. And so for a while, while I was waiting for my music to take off or for somebody to care, I took a job as a dog catcher. And I was catching dogs. You know this, dog, catching dogs. I wasn't a very good one either, because I was required to catch 12 dogs a day.
Really?
For Leon County Animal Control. Patrol around the city in my animal patrol uniform and my truck and look for loose dogs.
In what city?
Tallahassee.
Tallahassee, Florida.
And I'm required to catch 12 dogs a day. I'm not good at this.
But did you catch the 12 dogs?
I get off at 5. It's 3 in the afternoon. I only got 4 dogs in the truck.
Oh, God.
That's where my faith started to be developed. I got to believe God. Because somebody about to get their dog stolen.
In Tallahassee, Florida.
Tallahassee, Florida. So it was during this season that I would sneak into the music stores and be playing on their pianos on my lunch break. And sometimes it would go over my lunch break. And they would be calling for me and say, we need you to pick this dog up. We need to pick you this dog. And I'm in these folks' piano store playing piano. Ain't got no money to buy nothing. But on my lunch break. So one day I'm in there playing, and there's a lady shopping. And she says, I'll take the piano that the dog catcher is playing. $100,000 piano.
Really?
The store owner said, do you want a job playing all day? And that was my first music job.
And she asked you that?
Yep.
And you said yes, of course.
And I took the job, and I began to develop a home studio, and I got my home studio done and did that recording all keyed up. And after I got back from the Church of God in Christ convention, somebody said, send your cassette to Dr. Bobby Jones. And that was the cassette that you heard.
Yeah.
And you invited me to come to your studio. I think it was Channel 4.
Channel 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was 1988.
88. Yeah. Okay. I started in 1980.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the night you had me on was the night you had Louis Farrakhan.
Really?
And he played Amazing Grace on a violin.
Sure did. And I sang it.
Yeah. We go back, man. We go back.
Yeah. So you already knew about that.
So when I walked in the door, I'm like, I cannot believe this guy. This guy not only reached across the aisle to me, a dog catcher with a jazzy sound, and gave me a chance. He reached across the aisle to somebody that believed totally different than the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? At that time, it was 1988. I'm like, who is this guy? You were such a legend in my mind before you was a legend in my time.
Oh, okay.
And so over the last 35 years, I've seen you evolve, but you was a legend from the first time I met you, because you gave me a chance when everybody else was saying you too jazzy or you too gospel.
Oh, man. Let me tell you, that Louis Farrakhan, though, Pastor, to get Louis Farrakhan on our show, I went through some changes with the president, Bob Johnson. I had to call Bob Johnson and ask him. Louis Farrakhan called me and said he wanted to do my show. And I told him, well, you're not Christian. He said, I know, but I want to do your show anyway. And I said, Mr. Johnson, what should I do? Can he be on the show? He said, hell no, he can't be on the show. I said, oh, okay, then I'll tell him. So the next day I was in New Orleans for the James Cleveland Convention. I won't forget that. Phone rang early in the morning. It was Bob Johnson. Well, Bobby, yes, he can be on the show. I said, now look, I'm not asking you to be on the show. I don't want you to mess with my show because of Louis Farrakhan. Oh, no. I want him to be on the show. And that was the beginning of my relationship with Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Wow.
And we're still friends.
Wow.
I mean, close friends.
The takeaway
What?
that I got in what you just said is a book that you can write called How to Stand Up to a Billionaire.
Who's the billionaire?
Bob.
Bob Johnson.
Yeah, you're talking to Bob Johnson.
Yeah.
How to stand up to a billionaire.
He wasn't a billionaire then, though.
We're going to get into the weeds of, go back a little further in your childhood and your education, and then we're going to fast forward into the different commas in your life. We're going to do it as soon as we get back from this break. Thank you so much.
This segment sponsored by Sirius XM Watercolors.
Ben Tankard is Sirius XM Watercolors with PJ Faulkner, and he has got quite the combination of talents. Let's see, as you just heard, he is a musician of the highest caliber. He's also a pastor, a former pro basketball player, a reality dad on TV, and a pilot. And you may have seen him at the Sea Breeze Jazz Fest last month. Next up for him, the Steel City Jazz Fest, mid-June. Ben Tankard. He's got 2 thumbs up for me on watercolors.
This segment sponsored by Sirius XM Watercolors.
We know him as the ambassador, the legend, the Grammy winner, the award winner, Dr. Bobby Jones. Well, he's going to take us way back before all that started, and we're going to get into the weeds, into the childhood life of Dr. Bobby Jones. Welcome back, man.
Well,
you feeling good?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. Especially being here with you.
Oh, man.
Can I call you pastor, reverend, or what?
Tank.
What they call you?
Tank.
Oh, just Tank?
Just call me Tank,
Okay.
Or
well.
Ben, you just call me and say, Ben, I need you on the show. I'm coming. It ain't no pastor, no apostle, just I need you on the show.
Oh, wow.
But take us back, Doc,
Yeah.
to your childhood and pull us into the future.
I was born in a little place called Henry, Tennessee, which was 10 miles from another little town called Paris, Tennessee, that is. And I was the third child, the baby of the family. I had a brother and a sister, and we were farmers. My father was. And that's how my life was in the beginning. I had to pick cotton, chop cotton, and do everything farmers do.
So you picked cotton?
Of course.
Wow.
Yeah, until I was probably about 11 or 12 years old. I started elementary school there when I was very young. Finished high school when I was 11. Went to college. Finished Tennessee State when I was 15. Finished Tennessee State at 19, and I went to TSU when I was 15. Yeah, and finished Tennessee State when I was 19.
Hold up, Doc. Hold up.
I thought you knew that.
Hold up, Doc. I probably knew it, but I forgot it.
Okay.
But and I don't think the millions of fans that's watching this know this. You finished high school at 11?
When I was 15.
15.
Yeah.
And you went to college, and you finished college
at 19.
So you was a brainiac from the get-go. You were smart.
Well, I was fortunate. God blessed me with some abilities that put me ahead of the rest of the people that were in my classes. And I started teaching in St. Louis when I was 19, but I was a kid. I went to St. Louis, Missouri, of all places, and then started teaching there when I was 19 years old.
Wow. You know what? You are the excuse eliminator.
Is that what I am?
Yes, you are.
Oh,
because,
okay.
How do you go from picking cotton to graduating at 15 and going to college and getting out? Who does that coming from cotton?
I was blessed.
Wow. Talking about a comma. Our podcast tries to get into the commas of life, because life will hand you a period. And people will put a period behind your name. Oh, yeah, that's Jack. He dropped out of school, period. But God says that's Jack to drop out, comma, president, comma, father, comma, innovator. He's always adding a comma. So we like to get into the commas on this podcast.
Yeah.
And you have blown me away, taking me back before your comma.
But listen, let me tell you this. I went to a Methodist church in this little town called Henry. And of course, the people there tried to be astute because they wanted pattern after white folk, you know. So they didn't say amens or none of that kind of stuff. So gospel music was foreign to me, basically, you know, during that period.
Blessed quietness.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would sing in the choir. I was like 9 and 10 years old and, you know, running around. My mother, sit down, boy, you know, you little fast thing. Well, I was speeding ahead, you know, because I could do things at a very young age. And God allowed me to do that. And so being in a gospel, in a non-gospel setting at that time, and then coming to Nashville and learning more about gospel music, that's what put me into the gospel music era.
Got it. So you were a professor at the university for a while. Were you teaching there?
Yeah, I taught at Tennessee State for 17 years.
Got it.
Then I went down to your home state, Florida, Nova University in Miami. I did that for how long? 5 years, I think. Yeah, there.
Where did the gospel music, the icon that we know, where was that birthed? How do you go from being a professor to being a household name as a gospel ambassador?
That's a strange thing. I wouldn't say a gospel ambassador, but I got interested in it because when I started at Tennessee State University, I was listening to the radio one Sunday morning, and some lady came on and said, "We need a piano player for my Sunday school class." And she was offering out to anyone. So I told my aunt had a piano in the living room. So I learned how to play something with it, you know. And I told my aunt, I said, I'm gonna go down there and I'm gonna see if I can play for the Sunday school. I went, long story short, they hired me. Couldn't play with 3 fingers in the key of G and F and C with 3, C, G, and F.
Wow. White keys.
And they hired me.
No way.
And I couldn't believe it, and neither could my aunt. So I went on and I taught myself a little bit more about how to play the piano, you know. And then finally they got me to play for choir. So I started the choir, the young folk choir in the Baptist church. Now this is when I went to the Baptist church. Now what a shock that was, because I had to call my mother and say, "Mama, they hollering at the preacher." I hadn't heard that before.
You hadn't heard the response.
No, the preacher was talking and they would holler back at the preacher, you know.
Oh yeah, you're in Mount Zion.
Yeah. So what an interesting experience. That opened my eyes a great deal. The choir would march in. You know, they had on robes and stuff. We didn't do that in the country, you know. In the country, when I went to the Methodist church, we had hymnals. And we'd stand with the hymnals in front of us. Couldn't read a note. All we could do was read the words. Yeah. So that was an interesting beginning for me for getting exposed. And man, did we have a choir in that Baptist church. And I joined the Baptist church while I was there. It was called First Street Baptist Church.
Okay.
And that was kind of like my beginning of kind of what we say real gospel, because I heard a little bit of it before I left Paris, Tennessee.
Got it.
I always have to say Tennessee behind Paris because everybody thinks you know. But that gives you a little background as to what happened during that period. So now, remember, when I first moved to Nashville, I was only 15 years old, just right out of high school. So I had to learn a whole lot of things about living in a city, first of all, because Henry is a country town. I mean, country. Dogs and cats and mules and horses and that kind of stuff, you know.
I can imagine picking cotton, you know, in Nashville, that's a big divide right there.
Cotton and chopping cotton. We called it hoeing cotton, H-O-E. Yeah, cotton. So I had to be careful when I talk about that form of making a living, you know.
Yes, sir. The Bobby Jones gospel was Bobby Jones gospel pre-BET.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. I started doing the Bobby Jones Gospel Show in 1976 at an NBC affiliate station in Nashville called WSM. So what happened with that, while I was teaching at Tennessee State, a lot of the teachers, instructors, I should say, around, knew that I was working with some gospel music people. I mean, why are you working with that music? You know, what? That's common. You know, you shouldn't be doing that. You know, they was coming back with the hymns again. I said, man, this music is so good. I said, I think the rest of the world needs to hear this music who aren't listening to it. So I became president of Black Expo in Nashville. We did the first Black Expo. And I was president. I said, I'm going to present gospel music at this expo and let the rest of the country who are Methodists and whatever other denominations they are hear what gospel music is about. So I took my choir down and invited some other church choirs to come, and we furnished the music. And one of the people that came down was a person from WSM. So they heard that. And they asked me, well, are you interested in furthering that? I said, yeah. And she said, well, come out to the station. So I went out to Channel 4 and talked to the manager and all and asked if we could do a half-hour gospel show. So affirmative action was in gear then.
Right.
So they needed some black
Participation.
people. Yeah. So I asked them if we could do a show with them, and they said, yeah, we'll try it out. And they did. And that was the beginning of my gospel show in Nashville in 1976.
Got it.
Okay. All right. So I had formed my little group, you know, and I always were able to get good singers. I couldn't sing, but they could. So I'd be out front acting like I could really sing, but I knew that I could. But I always had background, you know, I had somebody that could really sing.
So you were the first Kirk Franklin.
Yeah. That's a good way to announce it, because Kirk doesn't sing either, you know. And we tease each other about this sometimes. I said, man, look at what God gave us to do, and we don't even sing. you know, we're just in front of it. But that was an interesting time for me. And then we were out there in 1984, I believe it was, or 1980, when we were doing, 1980 is when I started at the Bobby Jones show. It was called Nashville Gospel at that time. Some guys came to our studio, white guys, and they knew that they were having this convention in New Orleans, and Bob Johnson was down there looking for shows because he wanted to build a network.
Okay.
Guess who?
Here
they
comes
took
the
a
comma.
copy of my. Yeah, that's a copy of my show.
Oh.
They asked me, "Can we take?" They didn't know he was going to be there or whatever. They just wanted to take my show down there so it could be exposed. Bob Johnson saw it. Called me on the phone. Bobby, I saw your show. I like it, and it's just what BET needs. Would you be a part of it? I said, yes, sir, I would be delighted.
Wow.
And the two of us started the Black Entertainment Television Network with Bobby Jones Gospel. It was
Wow.
So I changed the name from Nashville Gospel, my part, to Bobby Jones Gospel. I said, well, if these other guys can have a show with their names on them, I'm going to call mine Bobby Jones.
This segment powered by Big Baller Brand.
Full Tank Podcast from the bench. Here's the question. How does a man get over heartbreak that he caused?
I would say you gotta find out why you caused it and then don't do it again.
Yeah, the first stage is admitting. So you caused the heartache. It don't even have to be relationships. It could be your mom, your cousin, your best friend. How do you get over it when you know it's your fault? Come to Destiny Center. I'll show you how to get over that stuff. Come to church.
This segment powered by Big Baller Brand. Visit BigBallerBrandInc.com for the latest releases in clothing, shoes, and more. Triple B, Big Baller Brand.
What I'm hearing, you're on the white mic. You know, you spitting pure wisdom over there in the pod chair.
Okay.
What we can all learn from is don't be afraid as you seek the next comma. Don't be afraid to get started with what you got.
Yeah.
Because guess what would have happened if you would have felt like you needed to have everything perfect, everything in place before you even launched out and did Nashville Gospel?
Yeah.
And it turned into what it is right now, but it didn't start out there.
No.
And that was God connecting the dots or the commas for you.
It was. And the interesting thing was I was teaching at Tennessee State at the time. And so I got a lot of negative feedback about doing what I was trying to do. Why are you doing that? You need to, have classical music or something. That's what they wanted to do. I said, no. I want to do this. I'm going to start with this man and we're going to give our show to him and let him use it on our network.
So you had
Now, people didn't know that it was Bob Johnson and Bobby Jones, and he tells it. It's on tape everywhere, and they did a series with somebody the other day and never mentioned it, and I was so upset about that because I wanted them to know that Bob Johnson invited me to come and do that, and of course because of him, he didn't pay much, but because of him, he made me a household name.
Wow. See, see, a lot of people don't know that. And we see, and you're so humble and you're so kind and gracious, but if it was me, I'd be to turn some tables over like Jesus did. I did this. What are y'all doing?
Well, I have felt like wanting to do that at many times.
Right, man. But I know it must bug you sometime when people overlook your contribution.
Well, not really. Because I kind of expected that to be a possibility, because of the kind of music it was, and many of the personalities that were presenting gospel music were more or less just regular, ordinary people. Sometimes the language was a little bit adapted for our culture. Did I put that nicely?
Yes.
And so I could speak English pretty good. So that was impressive for Mr. Johnson as well. So I kind of handled that not knowing what impact that it would have and did have on the world.
Wow. Well, there are hundreds of magazines and articles that have been written on you. I've only got couple things here today, but the culture countdown, the taste of the culture, calls you the game changer.
Yeah, when I saw that, I said, I like that. They call it the game changer, Yeah, nice little story about that.
And you've had opportunity to...
Who's on the cover? Who's on the cover?
Come on now.
No, not that one. I was the cover of that one. How about
this
that
one? Is the Black Music Entertainment Walk of Fame. Bob Johnson, you and...
Danny Glover.
You
know who that is down here.
That's Andrew
Young.
Andrew Young.
Yeah, the three of us were awarded on that particular
Bobby
night.
Jones, Andrew Young, and Danny Glover. Crown Jewel of Excellence, Black Music Entertainment Walk of Fame Award.
How about that?
Oh my goodness. How about that for some acknowledgement?
I was very proud of that.
Man, how did you feel? What did you say? And how did you feel when you stepped to the mic to get this award?
Oh, well, just the ordinary Bobby Jones. I'm so appreciative for those of you who helped us to do what we do in gospel music, and that we can bring something positive into your home instead of always listening to something that might take you somewhere else.
Right.
We want to take you to glory.
Right.
Okay, with gospel music.
You never compromise, the game changer. Come on now.
You like that?
I like that. Look, you got Beyonce. They talk about Beyonce on here.
Yeah.
You and Beyonce on the same magazine.
I know.
Oh my goodness. But you never compromise who you were and what you were called to.
Never did. Didn't have to. Didn't need to.
Just be yourself.
And for 35 years, the longest running show in the history of all cable TV was BET, Bobby Jones Gospel.
The longest running cable, not just gospel show, but the longest running cable show
on television.
Bobby Jones Gospel, 35 plus
35 years.
Wow.
And at the same time that I was doing Bob Johnson and BET, there was another black show that they started in Detroit, Michigan. Bishop Jackson had a network called Impact Television Network. Something that you know a little bit about.
Yeah, that's my wife's pastor, and they created the world's best woman, and I got to marry her.
You sure did. Well, there was a guy that worked for the Impact Network named
Louis Gibbs.
Louis Gibbs. Wow. You already knew, right?
Yeah, I know Louis.
So we was in the Bahamas doing something in gospel music, and I was there. So Louis asked if I would do a show for the Impact TV network, and it was a black network. I said, of course, So Well, at first I started working with Lewis at Word Television Network, and then he left the Word and went to Impact, and I followed him over there. So I'd been doing that at the same time that I was doing BET. I was doing Impact TV. Of course, Impact was all Black network and was all Christian network, and so it wasn't as exposed as a lot of the other ones. So, in doing that, people didn't know that I was doing that. And so when I retired from BET, I stayed with Impact Network because I wanted to, if I could do something to help this gentleman with his Christian network, then that's what I did.
Gotcha.
So I stayed with Impact when I retired from BET. And the reason why I retired from BET was from I got something from a girl named Barbara Mandrell, a country artist. Well, we worked for Barbara Mandrell for 8 years. We worked all over the country singer. And she had a #1 show on NBC called The Mandrells.
Right, I remember that.
And the Sisters, okay? And she was #1. And so when she decided to leave, I said, Barbara, why did you stop, doing your TV show? She said, I wanted to quit while I was on top.
Got it.
And after 35 years, a friend of mine named Debbie May said, Dr. Jones, have you thought about your exit strategy? Listen to the words, exit strategy.
Exit strategy. Right.
I said, no, I'm not going anywhere. I want to stay here. She said, well, you can stay there, but you need to consider, an exit strategy. So what Barbara Mandrell said to me about why she left NBC while she was on top, I said, okay.
That stuck with you.
35 years, and I'm still #1. I'm going to leave now.
Got it.
And that's what it was.
Got it.
Of course, BET didn't want it. They didn't want me to leave. The ladies that worked with us, they were crying and everything, because we made the money.
Yeah, right.
The network.
But you did like you do on stage because you are such a energizing performer. Right? I shouldn't say performing in gospel, but it is what it is. You're such an entertainer. You and the Nashville Super Choir, and when you had New Life, and bless his heart, rest in peace, Derek Lee, best MD known to man. And that funky band, Doc. You had a way to get people up into a frenzy, and then you would drop the mic and leave the stage while you were at your top. You wouldn't sing all the way up and all the way down till folks start walking out on you. You always left the stage when they was like, and they wanted more. And that's what you did with your career too, with BET. You left the stage. You dropped the mic at your highest. Wow.
And how did I feel about that? I was hurt a little bit, and I remember walking down the steps at the last show. They put up an image with a cloud, and they directed me to walk down the steps leaving the show. And man, when I got to the bottom of the steps, it's over.
The emotions, right.
I said, this is over. What did I do? Why did I do this? And the choir was crying, and and everybody didn't know, and that was the last show that we were doing at BET. But God had continuous things for me to continue to do.
Ain't nothing like Creflo Dollar to change our script, boy. He get us on the right track. Give it up for Pastor Creflo A. Dollar. Jewel has an anointing in her own right. She's a financial whiz. She's a woman of God. She can preach. She's the preacher. I'm the teacher. She has her own schedule. So sometimes I get to go with her to big women's conference, and we're in the hotel, they give us the honeymoon suite. I don't want it to go to waste. So she's meditating, trying to get ready for the message, and so I want to, put on the Luther. How many Lutherans we got here? I'm trying to flirt with her, and she said, honey, leave me alone. I got to preach to 4,000 women. I said, baby, I'm just trying to help you, lay hands on you. And so I kept on bugging. She said, honey, leave me alone. I'm trying to get into Jesus. I said, Jesus is in me. Don't that mean
Full Tank Podcast, hanging with the supernatural uncle, Dr. Bobby Jones, man, we having such a good time. Dr. Jones, a lot of times people listen to my music, which is considered smooth jazz, gospel jazz, and they don't even realize that not only are they hearing the piano is Ben Tankard, but usually every instrument is Ben Tankard.
Really?
I do everything right over here.
Oh, wow.
In that corner.
Okay.
If I need to have Kirk Whalum do sax or Gerald Albright, I email them the track. They'll put some licks down, send it back to me. But everything else is me. They don't even know that what they're hearing, the whole band is me. They don't even know when they're looking at it that you did the edits, you produced it, you cut it, you know how to take all the different reels and recordings, and that was you producing it behind. You're the guy on the Wizard of Oz.
Oh, guess what?
Behind the black curtain.
Guess what? I'm still doing it.
Man.
Yeah.
Doc.
Yeah, I edit those shows in my home. Just like you just this wonderful setup in your home. I have a little closet in my home where I go in and I edit the shows.
Talk about come on.
I enjoy it. That's something that's a part of me.
How did you learn that?
By watching, listening, being involved. You have to put yourself in the place where things are happening if you really want to learn the real deal. So I made sure. I used to have to go to BET every week while they edited the shows while I was on their network. So I would sit in the editing room and watch what they did. And so I brought that skill with me to do it myself.
Wow.
Because there were things that they would do that I thought would be corny, but I wanted to make it more, acceptable to people who like the reality of what gospel music is about and how we praise and serve God. I didn't want to make it so upscale that it would turn the people who really believed in the rawness of Christianity.
It couldn't be too polished.
Too polished.
Got it.
Yeah.
I've always embraced the thought that we could do it ourselves, empowerment. And some of that came from watching you when I was working for Benson, Verity, having worked with Yolanda and all these different artists, and we paid all this money to go rent other studios. I'm like, why can't I have my own studio? Why can't I talked to Michael W. Smith's team and Amy Grant when my schedule got so busy where I couldn't make my concerts on a 16-hour ride on the tour bus. They said, well, you're going to have to fly. Well, American and Delta wasn't agreeing with the schedule I needed to go. And so talking with those team members of Amy Grant and Michael W. Smith, who were the only ones at that time who owned their own airplane in Christendom and was flying to their concerts. That's how I got into flying.
Really?
Yeah. It wasn't because I was trying to show out and be a showboat. I just needed to be able to go when I wanted to go. 24 hours a day, doing 100 to 150 concerts a year. And so have your own studio, have your own transportation department, have your own bus, have your own production company, have your own editing equipment. I've always embraced that. And I got some of that from just looking over your shoulder.
Man. Well, you are so blessed. I don't know whether people know a lot about you since you're trying to tell a lot about me. I remember you when you were a skinny young man and came to my show when I was taping in Nashville, Tennessee. And look at how God has blessed you to this point. I'm sitting in Ben Tankard's home, and it is indescribable. I mean, I just haven't been in a house like this. And the ability to go around the world playing your music, what a blessing. Man, I'm glad that I had an opportunity to be a part of it.
Man, you got me out here, Doc.
A little bit.
People are the real estate. We talk about real estate, but people are the real estate. Relationships are most important. Who are some of the key influencers along the way in your life? People that help pull you up and help grace you on your path?
Well, it was so many of them. It's very difficult to try to isolate them, but whether this lady named Dr. Maya Angelou was so influential with her knowledge base that I just really had an opportunity to learn a lot from her. And of all people, what could Louis Farrakhan say to me that would encourage me in this line of work that I was doing?
Wow.
He said an awful lot of things and still does. So I was impressed with him. Even though he's Muslim and I'm Christian,
Right.
We laid all of that on the table and talked about it. You know, when you're intelligent, you can work through those things, right? So he convinced me as to what was happening with him. Then there was Albertina Walker with a group called the Gospel Caravans.
And Shirley Caesar was part of that too?
Yeah, Shirley Caesar was a part of but Albertina was the one that really encouraged me and influenced a lot of the works that I did. And then there was a man by the name of James Cleveland. I watched him. He was a master of his craft. I like to use those words. As being Tankard is a master of his craft.
Thank you, sir.
So was James Cleveland and a few others.
Now, what would you say along the way? Because, you know, we see the Cliff Notes and we see the Google advertisements and the testimonials, and we see the filtered pictures on Instagram and everything. But the unfiltered life, the regrets, the heartaches, disappointments, what do you think was one of the lowest points in your life, in your career as you got to where you are right now? Talk about disappointing moments or something that really caused you to just really dig into your faith and have to bounce back.
Well, Reverend Tankard, I don't. Probably when I was trying to find a place to record, and living in the city I was in, there weren't many opportunities to find a place to do that. That was a troublesome time for me. And I had a gentleman who's still my attorney now named Richard Manson.
Yeah, I know Richard.
You know Richard? So we went looking for that. So, you know what? I think it is really interesting and wonderful that I have to search my mind to think of what was the down point, so what was the low point, or what was the most aggressiveness that I needed to put forth in order to salvage and do what I do. And I think I'm blessed for having to that.
Yeah.
Sometimes the people that worked with me didn't understand what our mission was, and it would offend me because they had not interpreted what it was that we were doing.
Got it.
Hey, look, we're gospel singers. You can't do this. You can't do that. You got to, do this and that other. So I would sometimes be disappointed at that. And then that meant that I'd have to upgird myself.
Right.
I had to live the life.
Right.
I had to do the things that I was trying to get everybody else to do. So you cannot do that. So it was a challenge for me in that aspect.
You have mastered the pivot. You have mastered reinvention. What makes a good basketball player is, if we're coming down the court, we may have a move in our minds, but if the defense adjusts to that move, it's not over if you know how to pivot. So you know how to do something different and change in mid-flow. That's what made Michael Jordan so graceful, because he could do it in midair.
Oh yeah.
and you just hearing your testimony about you having to search for down moments. Well, those moments were there, but you just knew how to pivot.
Yeah.
And they didn't become mental staples in your life to where, oh yeah, that was back in 94. That's right after my sister passed away. People, sometimes they staple their life together through tragic events. You staple your life together through testimonies. I like that. You remember the good, process the bad. The bad is there, but you remember the good because you're the master of pivot. Come on now. So what's next? You make it look so easy, Doc. And I was just looking at the Grammys the other day, and what's up with this new honor?
Man, let me tell you, I was so surprised. I was in awe when I received a note from them saying, "We have selected you to become a winner of our award, and it's called the Lifetime Achievement. I went.
The
I
Grammys?
thought that was all over.
Lifetime
I had won a
Achievement?
Grammy. As you look at your Grammy and your Stella Awards. There you go, boy. But when I realized that, okay, this is the top of the line. You don't get no higher than the Grammy.
That's the highest part of the food chain, Doc.
And here it is. May I pick it up? I hope everybody can see this.
Man,
Look at this. This is what he has.
They always giving us something, Doc.
That is so.
We just
congratulations.
thank God for being in the game, and you can't talk about gospel music without talking about Don Jackson and the Stellar Awards, and how many of those that you won, and how they brought you into their meetings, and different organizations would bring you in. They looked at you as a connector of gospel music to the rest of the world and named you the ambassador. Talk about that.
No, I'm glad you mentioned that. A lot of people think when they called me Ambassador Dr. Robert Jones, they had this because of what we did with gospel music. But I became an ambassador of a nation.
Got you.
Dominica.
Oh.
Dominica is an island between Guadeloupe and Martinique, French speakers. Je parle de français aussi. I studied a little,
Come on, comma.
So that's, I was invited to come down to that island, and 8 other people from different television shows were there as well. As the World Turned and all of those soap operas and things. They were looking for someone to become a supporter of their island.
Got you.
To get people to travel there. And out of all of those people, they chose me.
Man.
To be their ambassador. And there was another one. I walked out of the building. We were on a mountaintop, basically. And there was on this mountain was a river. Can you believe it? So we went out on the boat, and they came back and said, they want to meet you, the committee. And I didn't know what they were talking about. And so when they did, they said, well, we have decided who we want to become our ambassador. Would you accept? And I said, ambassador? Man, I walked out of the building and I looked up. I said, Mama, did you do this? My mother had passed on.
Yes, sir.
So I was talking to my mother, and every time I get an advancement like that, I talk to her. You did it again, didn't you, girl?
Wow. Talk about your mother for a second, because she was a fan of Ben Tankard there for a minute too. She used to like some Ben Tankard music. You talk about,
of course.
So we thank God for mom's grace in our life. Talk about your mama in your life, Doc.
Well, she was very important. My father was an alcoholic and unlearned. He couldn't read or write. And so my mother was at the realm of everything that I did. And I had a brother and a sister, and I'm the youngest of the 3. And both of them had passed on. But my mother was my girdle because I was young and was moving through school fast, a lot of kids were negative toward me.
Got it.
Because I could learn quickly. And unfortunately, she realized that and was, do what you do. Go and learn these poems. Do what, with little speaking things that I was doing when I was a kid was enhanced by the spirit of my mother. So she basically raised me without my father. My father was around for about 10 years of my life, and my mother was at the other part. So we had to leave him. I took my mother at 11. I took my mother and my sister out of our home in Henry, Tennessee, and said, let's go to Paris.
Wow. 11 years old.
11 years old.
Ahead of your time, Doc. Wow.
Yeah, she did. So she was extremely vital and important in my growth and development.
Man, what a connector. For people that are aspiring creatives, whether they're in music or business or media, entrepreneurs, whatever, what advice would you have with all the years of wisdom and commerce that you've accomplished? What advice in terms of 1, 2, 3 nuggets that you would leave with them that you think would help them with what you know?
Well, when people ask me questions about what would I suggest for someone who's wanting to acclaim whatever their belief system might be floating with, what would you say to them? Well, for me, I had to try to understand what it is that I wanted to do and to put myself in the position of where people who do that and that I admire, then I had to be in the company of those people. So surround yourself with, so you can become familiar and be good at whatever your achievements that you're trying to do it. Be true to yourself, but first of all, study it. Really learn as much about whatever skill that you have and want to be utilized for your journey toward having a good life and an understanding. Then put yourself in position to get around people and situations that would help you to develop. Study. Be at the top of your class if you can, or whatever, just so you learn what it is that you're trying to do.
That's good. That's good. Dr. J, what's next for our industry? What's next for gospel music? How do you feel about as a whole? Because you've seen it change complexions several times over the years. Mm-hmm. Where is it now and where's it going?
Being a traditionalist, I was always curious about what was happening as I watched these artists come about. And I was negative initially, especially when I heard the rap gospel and other kinds of presentations that took on a secular air. Mm-hmm. So I would say, oh, this is not good. This is going to ruin our industry. God spoke to me to say, that doesn't matter. What's important is that they lift me up. Whatever form they take, what difference does it make? Mm-hmm. Just so the word is out there. Mm-hmm. So it happens to sound like a jazz or like something else good.
Right.
Just so I'm included. Mm-hmm. And man, that blew me away.
Man.
I stopped, developing an attitude when I looked at the round. I'm still not into it, but Right. But at least I understand.
Right.
And when you can understand something, then that makes you become more real with the situation.
Right, yeah. Right. Just because we don't speak a different language don't mean that language is not valuable or valid.
Yeah.
So tell us in French how somebody should pursue their career and know what God called them to do and stay with it, but do that in French.
Je parle français. J'ai étudié le français en école. And I studied French in school, and je t'aime le français très magnifique. I think that it is very good. And I like to say, comment vous appelez-vous, s'il vous plaît? I am, je, Bobby Jones. I could say a lot of things.
Wow. How do you say full tank podcast?
I don't know how to say that. Perhaps I was speaking French.
I did not know, man.
I had spoken with you with that language, had I?
No.
I thought that it was important for a person who was educated and intelligent to speak more than one language. And so I set out after I watched some other people who were speaking it, and I said, "What if they can do it? Let me learn something."
I do English and tongues. He's coming on the Honda. Come outside, I want to see him. He's coming in the sycamore tree. Those are my two languages right there, Doc.
Well, see, yours is more real because you're speaking.
Shootable. Those are my two languages, Doc.
I never did learn that language. But I respect it.
And we had a great time kicking it with the greatest uncle in the world, Dr. Bobby Jones here. What an influencer, what a friend. And man, y'all know what to do on Full Tank Podcast. Like, comment, and share. And Dr. Jones, what you got going that we can be a part of? You have a book you're working on, or you got a festival that's coming up? What do you got that we
I'm continuously doing gospel music programs, taping them so that the rest of the country can see. I'm surprised that we don't have any more gospel shows out there now. With gospel music, the way that we present it. I thought years ago that I would have some competition in the situation that would be there, but they're still not.
Don, I'm so glad.
It's amazing.
I'm so glad that you mentioned that because I've got 20 of these things. And you've got a bunch of these too, these Stellar Awards. But the last few years, there's been no category because they can't say the nominee is Ben Tankard and the winner is Ben Tankard. They have to have at least 4 other artists that are doing instrumental to even have a category. And would you know, for the last few years, that I've been the only one that's recording. So where are you guys at? We need more people recording instrumental. We need more people stepping out doing gospel programs, videos, stepping out. I mean, because we got 8 billion people on the earth. People need to be encouraged, motivated, and inspired. And how better than in what God has put inside of all of us?
Yeah.
How can we shake the tree, Doc?
That's amazing. I don't know what to do about that. I really thought that TV One, I think that's the name of one of the networks, they did have some gospel music for a minute, but it wasn't challenging. So, excuse me, I'm not being uppity about it.
Right.
But it really wasn't. You know? But it just never did happen. I said, well, I guess the Lord just wanted me to do it. And so as long as I can do it, I'm going to continue.
Well, we're glad that you're here, and we call you here 30 more years doing what you do. I'm going to keep on doing gospel jazz. I'm going to keep on doing the Full Tank podcast. And you guys keep on liking, commenting,
doing it.
And sharing. And we're going to get Dr. Jones back again.
Well, this was the most challenging time that I'm in now with gospel music. I changed from doing it on a stage with lights and all of that stuff. I said, I'm going to take this to a church.
Got it.
This is the best place to present it.
The pivot.
Man. Now there was a lot of people want me to do the other, all the glim and glory to match what they're doing on the other. No.
Right.
We don't have to do that.
Yeah.
Let's go to church.
Gotcha. Well, every time I go, I'm inspired. And you know what I like about Dr. Bobby Jones is that he's not all about just famous names. He is about the Joe Blow plumber, the lady that is a school teacher that happens to sing. He will give anybody opportunity. Even back when you were doing the gospel explosions that would go on for 2 and 3 days at a time, it would be so many people that would come from all over the world to participate on your stage that people had never heard of before.
Right.
And they got the opportunity to share their gifts, no names. I mean, I've become a fan of this heavyset lady that's on YouTube now called Bree Holly. I'm going to find that girl and bring her to my church because she knows how to do some quartet gospel. And she ain't no skinny girl, but she is gifted. And she knows how to...
Bring it to me and let her... Please.
That's a deal.
That's what I do.
That's a deal. That's a deal. Fact,
Look at what I did when you were nobody.
Exactly.
And then you became, look at you.
Yes, sir. Bree, we coming for you. We coming for you, Bree. Listen. Tune in next time for Full Tank Podcast. Like, comment, and share. And we're going to be looking for the next comma. Thank you for Dr. Bobby Jones, and we'll see you next time. Love you guys.
You are enjoying the Full Tank Podcast, sponsored in part by Faith Words. Want a taste of my best-selling book, The Full Tank Life? Go to thefulltanklife.com and pull down a free sample chapter and order the book.
Today, my friend Ben Tankard has become known as the Godfather of gospel jazz. He sold millions of albums, pastors a church, travels the world sharing his music. Like with Ben, God is working behind the scenes, lining up what you need.
Please listen carefully.